Good evening, everyone. This is Mitch. I hope you guys have had a great Tuesday and a great work week so far. I got you a pretty detailed and long update on what's going on with this weather maker, really cranking up as early as tomorrow evening with a severe weather threat for areas of the south central U.S., including Oklahoma, Texas, places like that. And then we're going to talk about the winter weather part of this too. We're actually going to break that down first, then talk about the severe weather part of this for areas of, like I just mentioned, and the deep south. So we're going to get very detailed with this. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button for me. Like the video if you like it. As usual, thank you all for the amazing support. Great way to stay up to date with the latest and greatest information is definitely hit me up on Twitter or Facebook. If you don't have social media, I'm cool with that, and we'll roll either way. But I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. If you guys got anything that I can pray for, please put in the comments below. And then other people will pray for it. And of course, I will pray over them too, which I do every morning. I just try to do it again in the afternoon hours after I check out all the comments and the prayer requests for the morning video. So thank you all for tuning in. Let's get going here because this is going to be a longer video. So if you really want to just hear about your specific area, like the deep south being affected by the severe weather, definitely feel free to skip ahead. But if you're in the winter weather part of this, then stay tuned because I'm about to enter our way into this. Let's take a look at the storm as a whole. This is the GFS. What happens here, piece of energy gets into the southwest. This low pressure forms, ejects itself across the Midwest and Ohio Valley. What happens is you have a little bit of severe weather that pops up in the south central U.S. On the cold side of this, you have snow, potentially heavy snow, and a little bit of icing sets up in Kansas, maybe the panhandle of Oklahoma. This gets going here. This is the latest GFS, which is actually folded a little bit to the European model. And then trying to figure out where the axis of heaviest frozen precipitation is going to be a big question here. You know, this is a frozen time stamp at around Thursday, early afternoon, really around the noon time frame. So you got heavy snow in Missouri, heavy snow showing up in north central and northern areas of Illinois. This is working its way into Chicago. This would be a pretty substantial, well, whatever you consider substantial in Chicago, for example. I don't know if that's a foot of snow, whatever that may be, but this has a chance to produce several inches of snow for you guys. And then it moves on into deeper into the Ohio Valley. The low pressure just crushes right through the Ohio Valley. Therefore, it keeps areas like most of Ohio just heavy rain. And in areas of Pennsylvania, this just looks like a wind-driven rain for areas of the Northeast overnight Thursday into Friday morning. But this is the entire system as a whole. At the same time, you got warm, moist air getting funneled in from the Gulf. So there's going to be a severe weather threat down here in the deep south. So let's get detailed with everything. Right now, what we do know as far as watches and warnings, what's going on, the green is the flood watches, and there is going to be a flood part of this, and there's going to be some heavy rain with this. This area of blue, that's winter storm watches. So, you know, you got the winter storm watches boundaried up with the flood watches, if that's even a word. I just kind of came to me. But then all these pinks that are catching your eyes here, these are red flag warnings, so it's very dry. Right, so definitely don't burn anything really if you're anywhere, because the whole entire state of Mississippi is about to catch on fire if y'all even so much as burn some leaves in the state. So definitely don't burn anything anywhere in the pink, or really just anywhere in general that even borders these states. So very dry conditions out here. So let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center. Still has that slight risk, but they've actually trimmed it down some. But it still includes Oklahoma City, Dallas, Wichita Falls, Texas, so there's still a slight risk there, but they've definitely trimmed down that tornado threat. It's actually not even including Oklahoma City or Dallas. It's kind of in between both, but still a 5% chance in this little area of southern Oklahoma and northern Texas. 5% chance of a tornado of 25 miles at any given location in this brown area. The wind threat, 15% chance, same kind of deal, 25 miles at any given location. And then the hail threat is there, and that's because you're going to have some steep lapse rates in place as cold air aloft moves in with the cold front that starts to get a little bit closer to these areas. So you're going to have a decent hail threat, especially with any storm that really can take advantage of any kind of environment in place out here. With a low-level jet, that's why you have that tornado threat. And you take a look at day 3. Now, we're still a big question mark on the severity of this, but this has a much more higher ceiling than the Wednesday threat. So this is for Thursday. And then same deal, slight risk. Nothing is really changed much from this morning. Slight risk for Memphis, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas is the main cities, including this. Birmingham, Alabama is included in the slight risk. So we got to see how bad the tornado threat is going to get in this region. We'll keep it going here. there is a flood risk, and I really just have the Thursday into Friday time frame highlighted here. You're watching this slight risk with the mountains of North Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee, where there could be a flood risk here, as there always is when you have a lot of heavy rain, this higher terrain, mudslides, things like that. You got to watch out for this area. But that is at least a 15% chance of flash flooding occurring at 25 miles at any given location in this area. And then you have the marginal threat extending for a large period for these areas, just because this is going to be a big time rainmaker for the areas that don't see winter weather. So let's compare and contrast the models for the winter weather. Let's take a look at the GFS, and we'll try to break this down as quickly and as detailed as efficiently as possible, so we do not stay too long on each model, because this would end up being a 30-minute video if I did, but I want to be detailed with you guys too. So let's go on and stop this for early Thursday morning. I'm talking about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Corridor of ice starting to break out over areas of Kansas. You got still a little bit of rain in Kansas, but a little bit of snow also. Ice showing up in north central and northern areas of Missouri. This is trending a little bit further south, so areas like Iowa, y'all might not see much, but you still could get into action with some of this snowfall that forms. Y'all are definitely going to be cold enough for all snow in these areas. And then obviously you have a little bit of ice. I'm not sold that this is going to be a massive icing event like 2 weeks ago, but you still have to watch out for some freezing rain. The pink showing up in here, this is for around Thursday morning as you're getting up and getting at it for your Thursday morning. Freezing rain showing up in areas of Detroit. Keep this going here. I don't want to stick too long on the deep specifics of each model. And the low pressure, this is in response to what's going on here. This is not going to be a robust system as far as a ton of precipitation up in this area like it was 2 weeks ago. It's really because you're getting a trailing wave that comes behind this low pressure, and they don't really completely phase together. They kind of interact, so you don't have a long duration event. It's really just a quick hitting, potentially heavy snow for areas. So you're getting into Thursday afternoon more so. Freezing rain in north central areas of Indiana, central areas of Illinois, heavy snow breaking out in Chicago, and then this kind of calm ahead where sometimes a deformation band can pull as maybe an upper level low tries to form behind this low pressure. Maybe some heavy back end snow for areas that maybe even as far south as St. Louis, but definitely northern Missouri is going to get hit pretty hard by this. And then it gets on through here, and we're getting into our overnight hours. We'll take a look at the Northeast with the GFS, but I really don't think this is going to be a big system for you guys. But I think maybe Buffalo could definitely see some icing, and then maybe switching to a light period of snow. But I don't think it's going to be a significant storm for you guys. But definitely watch out for the most northern areas of the interior Northeast, like bordering really close to the Canadian line. I think you guys could definitely see some icing and some back-end snow with this. So we switch over to as far as snowfall accumulations. I think this is a little overdone, but I do think the epicenter of the heaviest snow is going to be in northern Missouri, and especially north central Missouri, if you will, where I think someone could definitely get 8 to 10 inches of snow somewhere. And then there's going to be a jackpot area, I think, in eastern Kansas, especially as a deformation band, I think, forms here with some heavy precipitation in the form of snow that falls in Kansas. And I think someone's going to get a lot of snow here. Notice, if you guys have been watching my videos on the system, this band has really shifted south on the GFS. You go back to even to 12Z run, right? And just keep your eyeball on this area right here, which is Chicago. This is the previous run. That is a big shift. Now I'm going to go to the current run. This is the latest run. Watch this band of narrow, heavy snow that shifts south. That's a massive shift from one run to another. And this is basically, I can now say confidently that this is folding to the southern solution that the Euro has been showing all along. So I would definitely say the Euro, which is tick back and forth, might be winning this storm, which I always like to see who wins. And historically, the Euro is the better model. So if you're in Chicago and you're a winter weather fan, you're obviously pulling for this not to tick much further south than this, or you are going to be out the corridor of that heavy snow. But this area of heavy snow moves through areas of Illinois, northern Indiana, southern Michigan, and where y'all could see several inches of snow here. Looking at the European model, and let me obviously show you guys some love in the Northeast. I don't want to forget about you guys, but like I said, a lot of this is going to be in the Canadian regions, just north of the U.S.-Canadian line into Canada in these areas right here. Guys, I am not 100% familiar with all the geographical regions of Canada, especially Southeast Canada. I mean, Ontario, I know all that and all that simple things like that. Toronto, as far as the city, but I can't. It's hard for me to get really specific about you folks in Canada, and I hope in time when I can make this a full-time job, I would love to forecast areas of Canada, but I definitely want to be confident talking about the geographical regions of y'all's area, and y'all have been incredibly nice, and I really appreciate that. I've had some people who loyally listen. Even though I don't talk about the region hardly any video, so I appreciate you guys very much. Thursday morning, this is basically, I mean, if you compare this with the GFS for Thursday morning, I mean, you already have heavier snow and ice showing up for these areas, but Thursday morning, there is a slower trend with this. And therefore, with this slower trend with the low pressure, it gives more time for this cold air to suppress the storm system. So in response, you get that southern solution from the European. Therefore, you have not nasty ice getting dangerously close to areas like St. Louis. You got heavier snow for this storm in general for areas like Kansas City. The snow doesn't even start on per the latest Euro for Chicago until Thursday afternoon, as opposed to the GFS. You already have snow falling Thursday morning. So there's already some big differences, but I'm starting to lean towards the Euro more with the southern solution. But this will bring areas much further south into Illinois, into areas of some ice. It would bring areas a little further into central Indiana with some nasty ice, maybe some back end snow. And then it's been showing this the whole time for the whole entire northern half of Ohio, with some nasty ice totals showing up for this region as you're getting into Thursday evening. And then it would keep areas like Detroit more of a heavier snow briefly for several hours, as opposed to ice like the GFS is showing because it's more northern. You take a look at my folks up here in the Northeast. Obviously, if you're a big winter weather fan in the Northeast, and let me make sure I'm not. Yeah, okay, we're good. You're probably pulling a little bit more for the Euro because it would bring more wintry precipitation for the ski resorts in the higher elevations, interior Northeast, like Vermont, New Hampshire, the upstate regions of New York State. But it still stays mostly a wind-driven rain. I'm going to talk about here at the end of the video, too. You are going to have some big-time wind concerns, especially in southern New England, as you're getting into deep overnight Thursday into Friday morning. Strong winds, I'm talking about 40, 50, 60 mile per hour winds are possible with this low-level jet, with the winds that mix to the surface here, and are going to cause big issues as far as a wind threat. That moves off the coast. As far as snowfall totals with the European, I like this idea a little bit more, that it's not reflecting as crazy snowfall totals as the GFS, but I think you can bump up these totals a little bit. But if you're Chicago, you obviously do not like the Euro. It's only giving y'all 2.5 inches of snow. And just south of y'all, which y'all have seen that many times this year, heavier axis of snow. But this would bring an area of eastern, especially southeastern areas of Kansas with some heavier snow, maybe over 1/2 foot in areas. And then I haven't been talking about Oklahoma, and forgive me, guys, but I do think as this low pressure is cranking up, y'all are going to, I don't think it's going to be a long duration event for you folks in Oklahoma, but I think areas in Oklahoma, north of Oklahoma City, kind of into the north central areas, just northern Oklahoma in general, is going to see a brief I would say, 4 to 6 hour period at most, period of really heavy snow that could really drop a maybe inch per hour rates as that deformation band forms, which I think will. Then you get into Illinois, 3 to 5, 6 inches showing up for the Euro for central Illinois. Very narrow band of snow. Indiana, if you're in northern Indiana, you like winter weather, you're pulling for the Euro. Shows a nice swath of maybe 1/2 foot of snow in areas, and then doesn't quite get to Cleveland. And definitely the Euro does not like the idea of snow in Ohio, maybe northwest Ohio. So, Euro is a little bit further south. You look at the NAM. What does the NAM show us? And, I don't look at the NAM much, but I feel like it's a good model to show here because it's right in the middle. And it basically shows us an idea here that you're going to have a quick moving storm. The orange is the sleet. The pink is the freezing rain. The blue is the snow. Quick hitting, heavier precipitation, high moisture storm, but it's not going to be a long lasting storm. So we're getting into Thursday afternoon. It's leaning a little bit towards the European as far as timing and the starting time of this frozen precipitation, say places like Chicago. But NAM really slams north central areas of Missouri with a all-out winter storm, brings a nasty winter storm of ice, sleet, and snow in areas of central Illinois, and then switches to all snow. And then snow starts to move in as early as maybe Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening for Chicago. Maybe starts off briefly as a wintry mix. Then it's a nasty storm for areas of southern areas of Michigan. Same kind of deal. I feel like it's a little bit of a blend of both the GFS and the European, but I think it leans a little towards the European. And it's a little different, though, with the European than the NAM, as the European doesn't have so much as a crazy widespread ice storm for areas of northern Ohio. And one thing I have not showed you guys much, which I'll show you on the what I will do is I'll show you on the National Weather Service what they're predicting as far as ice totals. But the NAM is always going to be crazy with the snowfall totals. I think this is a little overdone. But look at this and just kind of look at where the heavier snow's showing up, and look at how narrow this corridor is. This is a tough forecast for local meteorologists, the National Weather Service meteorologists. So cut them some slack, guys. It's going to be hard trying to figure out where this heaviest band of snow is going to set up. National Weather Service, conservative compared to all models, but I like the idea. It leans towards the Euro, but doesn't have it as far south as far as the axis of snowfall with the Euro. So brings a nice band of maybe 4 to 5 inches of snow through areas of eastern Kansas, central Kansas, eastern Kansas, northern Missouri. Gives Chicago about 5 inches of snow. A nice little snowfall for you guys. And then areas like Detroit, 3 to 5 inches of snow. And it's a pretty nice event, right, for all these areas. Nothing crazy for this area of the country for this time of the year, but a nice several inch kind of snowstorm. Freezing rain, same time frame. The National Weather Service, it doesn't like the idea of all these crazy freezing rain totals showing up like the models are showing. So it's pretty much predicting a glaze as possible for everybody you see in the pink. So if you're in the areas in the pink, maybe a glaze, maybe at most 1/10 of an inch of ice for someone. So now that I've talked about the winter weather for 17 minutes, let's talk a little bit about the severe weather. And like I said, we're going to know a lot more tomorrow about this severe weather threat. But we'll briefly mention the south central U.S. And we'll take a look at what this is, and this is the NAM. I think tomorrow, late evening, as this low pressure develops here, starts to eject itself into the south central U.S., there's going to be maybe a little bit of a dry line here, and then some storm development is going to form. I do not think this is going to be crazy super severe thunderstorms. I think there's actually a chance that you could have some maybe some thunder sleet, thunder ice, thunder snow for areas of Kansas as this intense, robust precipitation is developing, and you have some convective energy that mixes in with this cold air for areas of Kansas. I think you guys could see some lightning and thunder with some of this precipitation over deep into the overnight hours tomorrow night into Thursday morning. But I think these storms in general for areas of Oklahoma and then Texas right in this region, as you're getting into, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I do not think they're going to be that bad. I think they're going to have the potential to drop a lot of hail, and that's because you basically got this cold pool of air coming down behind this cold front digging down here southeasternly. So aloft, you have cold air moving in. So when you have cold air aloft, a lot of times that promotes a big-time hail threat. And you have steep lapse rates, which means that at the surface, maybe it's 60 degrees. And for instance, you click right in here in areas of Texas, and the temperature is 59 degrees. You got a little warm air advection right here showing up here, which will help probably not aid too much in the development of updrafts here. But check out how quickly the temperatures drop into the upper levels of the atmosphere. That's what you call steep lapse rates. So that tells us that you're going to have some decent cold air aloft, so you're going to have some hail potential with these storms out here. This moves into an area that has pretty substantial kinematics. Kinematics meaning you're going to have a lot of wind energy here. What happens in here is you have a low-level jet that pops up, that gets ramped up into here, 40, 50, 60 knot low-level jet that gets going here. So this is going to be messy convection as you're waking up Thursday morning across portions of Arkansas, the Ozarks, eastern areas of Oklahoma, northeastern areas of Texas. It's going to be a lot of convective. It's going to be messy, but there is a chance somewhere in here you can have a quick spin up in this region that could really promote maybe a quick tornado for somebody. So definitely keep your guard up, and that's why you have that slight risk right into here, especially right into this region before the sun comes up. You could definitely have a quick spin up that gets going here. This keeps going, and we'll go on and flip it into the deep south region, including areas like Tennessee, the mid-south, Alabama, Louisiana, losing my breath as I'm 20 minutes of talking nonstop here. Hope y'all are getting a lot of informative information out of this, guys. I really do. Thursday afternoon, here it is. The NAM looks very messy, right? Messy as in there's a lot of convective energy. You see a lot of splotches of green, oranges, reds. You don't really see any storms getting discrete here. It's going to be, to me, it looks like, and nothing has really trended up. Normally, a day or two before a severe weather potential event, things trim up or down, and a lot of times they trend up when you start to get in range of these CAMs, meaning these short-range convective models, and they really didn't trend up. In fact, they might have trended down so much. I saw a tweet by a known guy in the weather community called Reed Timmer, and he basically pretty much confirmed that hey, this really isn't trending up as far as a more heightened severity level as far as the severe weather. It's about actually kind of went down as far as what the NAM is showing. But it can quickly escalate tomorrow. But I'll quit rambling here. You got all this convective energy, the low pressure scooting up this way up to the north. You got this low level advection of this moisture moving through the areas of Mississippi all the way up into Tennessee. And these storms, I'll click a sounding, I don't know, somewhere in Mississippi. You see how saturated the column is, and I'm really looking at dew points all the way up into the mid-levels. Saturating meaning the green is the dew point, so that's moisture in the air, right? You see how they ride the temperatures pretty much all the way up until you get about into the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Let's just say that. So you have very moist, a moist profile. Moist, this is very, I don't say moist about 500 times here. So basically you have moist readings here, which is telling us that you have a lot of moisture in the air. So you're getting, to me, it looks messy. The setup looks very messy. You're going to have a lot of moisture, a lot of rain showers mixed in with a couple storms that could produce a quick tornado. So that's what that means. That doesn't mean there's not going to be a tornado threat, because I think there will be. Some of these embedded storms could definitely produce a quick spin up Thursday afternoon in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. So you have to still watch out, and that's what makes this setup a little bit more dangerous. When you have a messy setup, sometimes you get them rain-wrapped tornadoes, and they're hard to see coming. You can't really see them coming because they're rain-wrapped. So you have to watch out. There's kinematics in place, wind energy, to promote a tornado threat here, but what we call the thermodynamics, not so much in place. You don't have you don't have temperatures reaching the upper 70s, the low 80s in this region. You don't have dew points getting into the upper 60s, low 70s. So you don't have all that going for you for a tornado threat, which is good news. This is that low-level jet I'm talking about here. The purples here, that's a low-level jet pushing 60 to 80 knots. So you got winds screaming in the low levels of the atmosphere, which is about 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air, about a mile up in the above our heads. So winds are screaming. At the same time, winds are screaming in the mid-levels too, in a different direction out of this direction. So you got winds coming this way, and then you got winds coming this way. So when they combine, they put a little spin to the atmosphere, right? It's like, it spins the updrafts and it creates wind shear. So basically it puts a spin to these rotating updrafts, so it causes rotating storms. Now, I don't think this is going to be a crazy outbreak or anything, but like I said, the wind energy there is there to be a big time kinematic threat here. So as the low pressure moves here and here, the low level jet, which is all this wind energy right here, moves itself into the mid-Atlantic to northeast. This will begin to mix to the surface, meaning the wind gusts will make it to the surface. So I'll take a look at the GFS and then we'll wrap up this 25-minute video here. This is for Thursday afternoon. You have potential wind gusts pushing 30 to 40 to 50 miles per hour here across Kentucky, moving across West Virginia, nasty winds Thursday evening. Then you're getting into the overnight hours of Thursday into Friday, and y'all guys are going to be up all night in New England because winds are going to be howling, unless that kind of stuff doesn't bother you. I know y'all are used to these nor'easters up here, but definitely fasten things down Thursday afternoon if you're in New England, because you guys overnight Thursday into Friday could see winds pushing, heck, maybe 50 to 60 to 70 miles per hour wind gusts. Not sustaining like a hurricane, but wind gusts. So be careful, guys. This is an impactful event. There's a lot going on. It's a mouthful. Hope you guys got a lot of information out of that and prepared to get you another update in the morning as usual. God bless everybody and stay safe.